We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright.
Get the keys out of my purse, start the car.
Ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right.
Michael was the fun boss of the Dunder Mifflin branch in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He was an incompetent and unproductive boss who was always making unnecessary jokes to his employees. He spent 80% of his time fooling around, 15% in holding unnecessary meetings, and 5% paying attention to his job. He had no rizz and no game when talking to women, but he dated a few baddies and actually married one of the hottest women in the show. And even though he was very useless, his employees were the ones holding the branch from being terminated, and that's why no one was ever fired from the job. Other than that, Michael was one of the least paid people in the office, alongside the sales members and the secretary. Jim Halpert was a sales representative at the Dunder Mifflin Scranton branch of Paper Distribution Company. Since the first season, he always had a crush on the office hottie named Pam, and was also the one who planned a few of the pranks and ideas in the office. His main arch-nemesis was another salesman named Dwight, of whom they went on and off all through the series. He was later transferred to the Stamford branch but later brought back to Scranton, where he went on to marry Pam and bear 2 children with her. He was basically a chill dude and a very hard-working lad, and that's why he was promoted to the co-manager alongside Michael. Stanley Hudson was another salesman in the office. He was a senior salesman who never wanted to associate himself with all the nonsense that was evergreen in the office. He rarely smiled, and we learnt that he had no respect to Michael due to his childish behaviors. In the meetings, he never paid attention to what Michael was saying, and was always seen holding a book and a pen, probably drawing or playing games. If you saw Stanley in one episode, you would think that he was lazy, but coming to understand him, he was just a no-nonsense hardworking man with 1 wife and 2 side chicks. He even attended Jim and Pam's wedding with one of his side chicks instead of his wife. And now to Angela, who was the senior accountant and the head of the party planning committee, and also the safety officer at the Scranton branch. She was the most professional person who tried her best to keep the affairs of the office legit. She was once the mistress of Dwight, but after he demised her cat, they broke up but would go on to marry at the end of the series. She was strictly religious, with her faith as a Protestant, and even though she was the party planner, she was mostly the one who destroyed the fun activities which took place in the office. And at the end of the series, she got a son with Dwight, of whom they named Philip Halstead Schrute. Phyllis started off as a shy and quiet sales representative who was also very friendly and full of gossip. But as the show went on, we got to see that sometimes she could get manipulative and quietly dangerous. She also got married to another Dunder Mifflin employee at the early seasons. She mostly looked depressed and someone with low self-esteem, but was someone who was good in doing her job. Michael never takes her serious due to her size and shyness, but others respected her in most of the scenes. Oscar was the chief accountant in the office, and was an intellectual and an efficient worker who was among the few who took their jobs seriously. He started off as mostly quiet, but would later metamorphosize into a joking and sometimes a funny man who loved to antagonize people like Angela and Dwight. He came out as a man who loved other men, and Michael always made fun of him in most of the meetings. He was mostly close to people like Pam and Toby, but other than that, not much is known about Mr. Martinez. Kelly Kapoor was the customer service representative in the Scranton branch. I don't think we've ever seen her working. She was mostly seen doing her nails or applying lipstick on her dry lips, but she was mostly the gossip goddess who had no secrets and would spend more hours talking than doing her actual job. She got engaged to a boy named Ryan, who would dump her as soon as he got his promotion, and would go and date another guy from the same branch known as Darryl, who did not necessarily like her. She was a baddie full of insecurities and was someone who wanted attention more than anything else. Toby was the human resource representative of the Scranton branch who was the archenemy of Michael. The reason why he is still remembered till today is because of Michael's hate towards him. He was a pretty chill person who did not have emotions of anger or disappointment and would just let things slide every time someone irritates him. He was always calm and mild-mannered and always took his job too seriously, and that's why Michael disliked him so much. He was a divorced man who had a daughter named Sasha, and the reason he was still working in the office is because Michael did not have the power of sacking him. Another Kelly in the show was Erin Hannon, who took over the job as the receptionist after Pam had quit. She was so optimistic to life and was always friendly with everyone. She became good friends with Kapoor and actually released one of the hottest rap music in the block together. She then became the girlfriend of a man named Andy Bernard, who we shall look at later, and they both went on a few dates before calling it official. Pam was the original receptionist before Erin, and was a good girl who always sat on her chair to receive calls, arrange meetings, and help Michael in running his business. She and Jim always played pranks on Dwight for most of the show, but after she got married to Jim and was promoted to sales, they both stopped the pranks to focus on their new life. She was always picked on by Michael, and even though you'd expect her to hate him, she actually left her job to start a new paper business with him. And after she got married to Jim, she was blessed with 2 kids and her life continued as it always did.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Dwight was yet another salesman in the office, who was the funniest character in the whole show. He also ran an Airbnb in his house and was also a hardworking farmer. He was full of energy throughout the hundreds of episodes, and I'll have to say that this show would not have been the same without him. Kevin Malone was the dumbest of everyone else, but it was actually proven that he was so good at his job, and that's why it was so hard to fire him. He was a member of the accounting team and was shown to lack communication skills. His dumb nature was what was funny about him, and every time he spoke, it was so hard not to laugh. Meredith was someone who I never knew what job she was doing, but was in the show from the pilot to the finale. She was an alcoholic who always behaved like someone under the influence. She would sometimes walk in the office half naked, would drive her car while eating, would set her hair on fire while dancing. I mean, she was the complete package. I don't know where Schrute came from because I just randomly saw him in one of the episodes in season 4 and would go till the series finale. We learnt that Schrute was not his official name and was actually a homeless man who mysteriously got the job. He was a quality assurance manager who had a mysterious life, and not much is known about him apart from the fact that his dark personality was what made him one of the funniest characters in the show. Ryan initially started as a salesman who was dating Kelly, and was just a nice kid in the office. But after he got the promotion, he became a villain, dumped Kelly on site, and went to New York to begin his high-class lifestyle. Everything changed when he was arrested for fraud, but was later released, went to work on a bowling site, and then came back to the office as a salesman. He was among the series producer and co-director alongside Steve Carell and Mindy Kaling. Andy Bernard was a salesman who got engaged to Erin Hannon, who we previously discussed, and was another immature man like Dwight and Michael. He spoke like a cartoon character and was not actually good at his job. We also learnt that he was good at playing the banjo and singing, and was among the people who brought life in the show. Darryl Philbin was the foreman of the warehouse of the Scranton branch. He did not enjoy Michael's antics and immaturity, but outside of work with other people like Jim, he seemed to be more relaxed and silly. Every time he met Michael, we always knew that some shoutings were to happen. He was also a Presbyterian and was a man who enjoyed watching animals during his free time. Gabe Lewis was the strange coordinating director of emerging regions who was a quiet and insecure person with no social life, and always behaved as if someone was forcing him to work. He also had a fascination with horror movies, and was an odd man to be honest. Jan first started as a classy vice president of Northeast sales at Dunder Mifflin, but after she started dating Michael, her life fell off. She got fired at her job, started selling stinky candles, and was not seen much afterwards. And finally Charles Minor, who we did not like at all. He was the main reason Michael quit his job, and was a serious man who did not want people to express themselves in the work area. The only people who liked him were some of the baddies who found him physically attractive.
But life goes on.